Welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley.
I'm Mica.
Initial reports from the UK at retail were already showing that Battlefront 2 sales might be down significantly from the first game in the series. But now we've got even more proof there's a pretty big disturbance in the force.
According to some new figures from United States retail trackers, Star Wars Battlefront 2 it's not doing as hot as EA probably wanted, with sales way down at retail. What's more, the game apparently did just a fraction of the sales of its competitor, Call of Duty World War II.
Alright, so keep an eye on EA's stock after this one.
Yeah.
Alright, you may not be too surprised to hear that Call of Duty game crushed the competition. Even on a bad year, Call of Duty will outsell just about every game. But considering some of the digital sales estimates that are already floating around about Battlefront 2, yeah, seems like the game might have a little bit more trouble getting off the ground than people first thought. So let's dig into that and see what it all means.
This report comes from some preliminary numbers from the NPD Group ahead of next week's official release of their monthly game sales. The NPD Group, if you don't know, tracks retail and digital sales in the US.
Yeah, so the full report from November doesn't release till next Thursday. Some of these findings, though, are starting to make their way around, and one of the big pieces of information is that at retail, Star Wars Battlefront 2 sold less than 900,000 copies in the US. For a little perspective on how it's stacked up against the competition, Call of Duty World War II, which released the same month, admittedly a week and a bit earlier, but same month, did 4.4 million.
Oh, that's quite a disparity there, isn't it?
Yes.
And a much bigger one than really anyone was expecting, considering the massive success of the first game. The last total, released in May 2016, put it at more than 14 million copies sold.
A lot of copies.
Crap ton. And with all the added content and promises from EA, Battlefront 2 was poised to do even better than that.
So now, obviously, this is where we throw in the caveats because there are a bunch of them. First is that Call of Duty has been out just a little bit longer than Star Wars, which you mentioned earlier, about 2 weeks longer, I guess. So that could be, that makes a significant difference. Probably not a 3.5 million difference, especially considering that the majority of sales tend to come on day one.
Right.
But it's significant.
Second, these preliminary numbers are accounting for retail sales only, not digital. Plus, we're only talking about retail sales in the United States, not the rest of the world.
However, counterpoints to all that information. So, caveats for the caveats. So, for instance, we already know that in the UK, Battlefront 2's retail sales are also way down compared to the first game. After the game's first week, it was reported that physical sales of Battlefront 2 were down 60% compared to the physical sales of Battlefront 1.
And that trend is bearing out in Japan as well. The game moved less than 40,000 copies in its first week in that territory. All that being said, it's doing fine in Australia, where it debuted at a very strong #1.
But of course, physical sales don't tell the whole story, just part of it. It is possible that this game has a huge digital tail that we don't know about yet. Although, if that were the case, EA probably would have released some kind of press piece about how it was their #1 digital title ever or something, which is kind of what Activision did with Destiny 2 after reports went around about its physical slump.
And oh yeah, Activision and PlayStation already made that announcement about Call of Duty World War II as well.
Oh.
So yeah, Sony said on its PS blog that the newest Call of Duty was the #1 most downloaded title on the PlayStation Network in November. So yeah, that's not Star Wars.
Now, it is also worth noting, actually, that Star Wars Battlefront 1's sales skewed physical rather than digital, more so than the rest of EA's titles. EA said that much themselves after the first title released, which means that it's less likely that there's some crazy Battlefront 2 digital stat they're sitting on.
Either way, EA has been pretty quiet on that front. That's really telling.
Pretty telling.
We've also got some other tiny little pieces of information in that regard too. Industry analyst Michael Pachter of Weedbush Security says that according to their information, they're estimating that Battlefront 2 did less than 600,000 sales in digital.
Well, that's way down from their projections of 1.7 million, which is a significant gap. If you add the 600,000 to NPD's physical estimates of just under 900,000, that puts Battlefront 2 around 1.5 million sales in the US.
And while that sounds like a huge number, and technically it is.
There are a lot of games that would love to do 1.5 million lifetime.
Absolutely. However, it's still probably well short of what EA wanted for the game. After all, the first Battlefront game did more than 13 million in its first 3 months alone. So far, this isn't really putting them on a pace to surpass that number at all.
Now, there is something else to consider here, and that's that this is the type of title that is going to appeal to a lot of casual players, younger audiences, being Star Wars and all, there's a movie that's still to come. That means Christmas and December sales, which is actually what unfolded for Battlefront 1 as well. It debuted with pretty okay sales in November. It finished behind Fallout 4, but then it had a strong enough surge in December to make it the #2 selling title of the year.
So just like last time, a lot of that has to do with the game releasing in conjunction with the movie. People will no doubt get more excited about the game after seeing the film, and the casual market will scoop up the game as we get deeper into the holidays. It's one of those types of games that's really easy to give someone as a gift. Merry Christmas, Star Wars.
You think they like Star Wars, I'll get them this. It's the type of consumers who aren't looking at things like loot boxes. They don't even know what that means. So again, it's possible that these slow sales to start are going to be more of a normal path for a game like Battlefront 2, and what the real story is will be told over the next few weeks. We actually tried to get some clarification and thoughts from NPD ourselves for this story, but they did say they can't talk more about these reports until they're officially released next week. So we'll see what they have to say then.
The other possibility here, however, is that maybe we're looking at one of the first instances of loot boxes and microtransactions actually affecting sales of a game. Up until now, we haven't really seen much in the way of internet controversies over microtransactions translating to the real world.
Yeah, and back in October, NPD analyst Matt Piscatella told the gamesindustry.biz that the loot box or microtransactions controversy has not yet resulted in clear, noticeable limitations of the sales potential of the games with those mechanics. So, that might have changed.
At the time, Piscatella also indicated that we'd have to wait to see how some of the year's late fall releases performed, like Battlefront 2, for instance, in order to see how consumers as a whole are reacting to those mechanics. So far, the other titles have done fairly well, but Battlefront 2 bore the brunt of a lot of gamer frustrations when it released last month, which ultimately ended in EA pulling the microtransactions altogether.
Temporarily.
Yes.
And when that happened, EA told investors that the lack of microtransactions was unlikely to affect their financial projections, but slumping sales might actually do that.
Yeah, so what do you guys think of Battlefront 2 sales numbers being way down in the US? Do they have it coming? Let us know in the comments.
And for future updates on all the biggest holiday games, and if Star Wars Battlefront 2 manages to make a comeback over Christmas, remember to like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to the know.
Jingle Wars! Industry analyst Michael Pachter of Wedbush.
I think it's Weedbush.
Weedbush?
I think so.
Weedbush. Wedbush Security says that according to their information, they're estimating that Battlefront 2.
Still to come. That means Christmas and December sales, which is actually what unfolded for Battlefield.